On April 5, 2025, the United States witnessed a remarkable display of public discontent. Tens of thousands of citizens took to the streets in a nationwide protest dubbed "Hands Off." These demonstrations, echoing across major cities and rural towns, signaled a boiling point of frustration with the policies of the Trump administration and the growing influence of tech mogul Elon Musk in government affairs. The protests marked a significant moment in Trump's second term, exposing the deep divisions that continued to plague the nation. From the heart of Washington, D.C., to the bustling streets of major cities, the message was clear. Americans felt their voices were being ignored, their rights trampled upon, and their future held hostage by an administration increasingly out of touch with their needs. The hands-off protests were fueled by a confluence of anxieties and grievances. Many Americans expressed deep concern over a series of controversial policies enacted by the Trump administration, including sweeping federal job cuts, restrictions on Social Security access, and significant reductions in healthcare program funding. These measures, coupled with increasingly stringent immigration enforcement, ignited fears among vulnerable communities and stoked widespread economic uncertainty. Adding fuel to the fire was the controversial appointment of Elon Musk as the head of the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency. Critics, including prominent figures like Representative Jamie Raskin, argued that Musk's appointment represented an alarming shift towards corporate control over government functions. Raskin, a vocal critic of the Trump administration, warned, "We cannot let billionaires run the government like a private corporation." Musk, however, defended his role, stating, "This is about efficiency, not ideology." The scale of the hands-off protests was undeniable. Over 1,200 demonstrations took place across the country, drawing tens of thousands of participants. The largest gathering occurred in Washington, D.C., where over 20,000 people converged on the National Mall, transforming the iconic space into a sea of banners and chanting protesters. From Boston Common to the streets of Columbus, Ohio, and even near Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, the message of discontent resonated. The protests were not limited to major cities. Smaller towns and communities across the country also witnessed demonstrations, reflecting the widespread nature of the discontent. The closure of the Department of Education on April 4th sparked student-led protests across the nation, further amplifying the message of resistance against the Trump administration's policies. The hands-off protests in the United States were not an isolated incident. They unfolded against a backdrop of rising global unrest, as citizens around the world grappled with similar concerns about economic inequality, social injustice, and the erosion of democratic norms. From the streets of Hong Kong to the squares of major European capitals, people were raising their voices, demanding change, and challenging the status quo. The global trend of mass demonstrations, as documented by various sources, pointed to a growing awareness of shared grievances and a willingness to engage in collective action. The hands-off protests, therefore, represented not just an American phenomenon, but rather a reflection of a broader global struggle for social, economic, and political justice.